Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to Nation's Corner. I'm front row as always. Joining me is the greatest truck driver of all time, Tony Justice, and R.A. Davis. What's up, people?
What's
What's
going
happening?
on?
Oh, nothing. Just more stuff.
Yeah.
Got a big
Yeah.
pay-per-view tonight. Big
Yeah.
pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
Backlash.
Right.
Yep. Tony, what
Right.
would you do this week? Where you went off to? I see you're home, which is good.
Yes. Home. I went to El Paso City down by the Rio Grande. And then went to San Marcos from there and loaded for New Orleans. And I got to deliver to the University of New Orleans, and they had a basketball court that was damaged in Hurricane Ida. And so when I got there, they were like, "Hey, you can just back onto the court." And I'm like, "What?" And they said, "Yeah, we got it all ready for you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I positioned and backed straight in there, and here I am backing into the dang basketball court and just looking around, and the seats are all around me, and they had they had the goals taken up, of course, but I was there in the middle of the basketball
Center
arena.
court.
Yeah, center court, and they took the flooring off of my trailer, and then I just came home from there. But I wish that I was in New Jersey right now because our friends are over there enjoying ISPW wrestling. Dave and the boys are there. Dave and Paul and Andre are there, and from Busted Open, and they're all having a blast. I've been seeing pictures all day, and I cannot wait to hear some stories from Morristown, New Jersey.
Yeah, I got some texts and I saw some of the tweets and messages and all this stuff. It looked like a really cool time. They're still there, like you said, but man, there's a lot of people there. Our folks ran into a lot of our favorite independent wrestlers as well. I saw a great picture with Danny Moe and Facade, and obviously Mission Pro alum with Danny Moe, but some legends there as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of the stories. Maybe next week we'll have some of those folks back with us, and we'll be able to share some of those stories here on the show.
Yeah.
Ari, what about you?
I just been putting down some color on some tie dye, coming up with some new patterns and techniques and all.
Nice. So I got to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. I see MJF Scarf. Awesome. Always great to see. I see Brian in the chat.
Yeah.
See Marks. Neil, who's on location.
Yes.
Nation's Corner on location.
Yeah.
I see Mission
Cheers,
Pro. Mission
Neil.
Pro Wrestling's in the chat. Nice.
Mission Pro.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And I see Brian's already throwing shade at you, Tony.
Yeah, he is. He's just jealous because of all the lot lizards that have ranked me more than number 4. But
are you on that website again? What did I tell you about that? I thought you swore that stuff off. Yeah. So speaking of Mission Pro, we're going to talk just a little bit of Mission Pro, and then we're going to dive into a Backlash preview. But man, so much is happening at Mission Pro. Already there's been some matches announced for True Colors on June 10th. Just last week, this match with Maya World and Brittany Brooks was announced. On Thursday night, Trenda and I broke the news that Tiffany Nieves and Emmy Camacho would be facing off, and Brian broke the news in the chat that would be a number 1 contenders match, which is really cool. But for me, the most entertaining thing of the last couple of days from a content perspective was the Men's Revolution video with JP Harlow and Joey Hyder. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on the Mission Pro socials. It's on their Twitter and on their YouTube. It's hilarious.
Very ridiculous.
Oh, it's ridiculous. The moment where JP thinks he's going to fight Natalie Portman literally made me laugh out loud. An actual
The
law.
force is definitely not with him.
No, definitely not. But that was sort of rumored on Thursday, and I believe today on the Mission Pro socials it was made official that Fatal 4-Way tag match was going to be Money Birds versus Bougie Reality, Men's Revolution, and the King Bees. So that's going to be really cool. I'm interested to see that one. I'm excited for that one. We'll be there in person.
Is that Boss Baines' first official match in Mission Pro?
That I don't know. Brian maybe can confirm in the chat. I don't know. I think he's wrestled in Mission Pro before. He's been part of some
I know
matches
he's
for sure.
reffed, but I don't know if he's wrestled. That's what I didn't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. I would have to defer to Brian in the chat. He would know. But the important thing here is the men's revolution does not include JP Harlow, but rather includes Joey Hyder and Boss Baines, as you just mentioned. And the video the other part of that video was JP's conversation with, we think might be Thunder Rosa, was the possibility of JP facing Black Swan, as we sort of hinted to. That match has not been made official. I don't know if that's actually happening or not, but that was one of the things that came out of that video. So definitely looking forward to that. Here's the show poster. Very colorful, very exciting. Lots of returning stars, but also some new faces will be there June 10th, Tony.
And as always, if you're interested in sponsoring, you can contact Mission Pro at missionpro@gmail.com.
Yep, missionprowrestling@gmail.com, or you can also see us on the socials. Check us out everywhere on the socials for that as well. For tickets, check out missionprowrestling.com. There'll be ticket links right on the main site.
Brian just answered the question. No, Boss Baines unfortunately has wrestled before at Mission Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. I thought so. I was pretty sure I've seen him in the ring before.
Yeah.
Well,
I sensed a lot of disdain in that comment right there from Brian.
You're still selling that, huh?
Boss disdains. It's gonna catch on.
All right.
Give it some time.
All right.
Well, the Boss Lames didn't get over very well.
No. I like disdains better.
All right.
Disdains better.
We'll go with that. That works. But yeah, so if you're in the area, get your tickets at missionprowrestling.com. And if you're not in the area, make sure to check us out on Title Match Network, 6 p.m. Central on June 10th. It's going to be a fun show. So let's dive into some of the Backlash conversation. I know a lot happened this week on Raw and SmackDown and NXT too. But I kind of just want to focus on the Backlash stuff today, because we're going to let folks go early today because the pay-per-view's coming up. And I want to give time to get snacks and all that good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before we talk about the pay-per-view itself, I kind of want to rewind to the announcement of this new World Heavyweight Championship. And I don't know that we really had a chance to, now that I've had a chance to think about it, I want to get your opinions on this. Do you guys see this as an opportunity for WWE to have an equal title on both brands? Or is there any way that someone who holds that title could be on a level playing field with Roman Reigns? So, RA, we'll start with you.
I think it's going back to having, two titles for two brands, basically. Because even though Roman is carrying around two titles, it is supposed to be unified as one title. So it could be, one belt per program.
So here's where it gets confusing. It gets really confusing here. And I talked to somebody at WWE today about this, and there's still no clarity. Okay. They are presenting Roman Reigns as the WWE Undisputed World Universal Champion. Mm-hmm. They mix the two titles together. It's presented as a single title. He always defends it as a single title. However, on the website, it's listed as two titles. It's never been listed as a single title on the website since that quote unquote unification. So, and WWE hasn't been real clear about that. So is this a third title or is it a second title? And I think at some point, I hope they clarify that, because there's lineage to both the world title or the heavyweight title and the universal title. The universal title's been around long enough now where it has its own equity and lineage. So it's like, how do you mix all that together? Do you get rid of one? Well, you don't want to get rid of the one with the longest history, right? Anyway, we don't have answers to that, but I agree with you.
Since they're, they've recreated world titles, multiple feds all over anyway. And WWE's even changed the belt multiple times. What if they took the world title history since they're separate from the Universal right now, and they move the world title history over to the new belt, leaving the Universal history with Roman.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know that you can just shift the history to a different title.
Well, it's
I
not
guess
technically a different title because it's still the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
True, but they did say that this was a new title, and
Well,
did not have any. But this is where it gets confusing, right? Like as fans, we're like, okay,
right.
I'll follow the rules. Just tell me what the rules are.
Yeah.
You're sending us mixed messages. And then, so Tony, I want to get your thoughts on this, on the tournament that was just announced. You know, I was listening to Sam Roberts' podcast the other day, and he had this whole thing about, well, the new title makes sense because it's on Raw and it's exclusive to Raw, and they're going to have Raw champion, they're going to have Raw superstars battle for it. Well, then they announced yesterday, was it yesterday or Thursday? Might have been yesterday, that this tournament was going to include superstars from both brands. Well, that does away with all of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the rules that Triple H set forth, where he said Roman Reigns, whatever brand he's drafted to, he's going to stay on that brand. Well, does that mean, you know, all the superstars that are drafted to SmackDown, they stay on that brand? You know, you want a brand, right? The brand split, but it's like they change the rules as they go along, how they've always done it.
They change it to fit their narrative.
So yes, so you know, it's out of touch. I think we are smart, you know, and there are many more like us who think with our minds about this, and things aren't making sense when we're supposed to just watch our television and be entertained no matter what they throw at us. And you know, so I don't know. I mean, it's crazy because they just had the draft, and now you're having this tournament. It has, you know, Raw and SmackDown superstars in it. And on the topic of the championship, the new championship, I feel like when they finally take the two titles that Roman is carrying and unify it and make it one title, then the new championship won't seem as a consolation prize like I've been hearing it called, because a unified title means unified, right? So why don't you have a belt that symbolizes that instead of having him carry two? I think when they get rid of that blue one, the blue one is the World Heavyweight Championship, correct?
Universal.
No. Blue one's the Universal, the black one's the World Heavyweight.
Right.
Okay, so I guess that's what this new belt is supposed to be. Are they going to make one belt for Roman to unify and have him carry that, and then this other championship is going to be the World Heavyweight Championship? Then it won't be so dang confusing, I think. But I mean, it's, you know, this tournament's happening. They're supposed to crown a new champion at Night of Champions. Do we want it to be Cody? Do we want it to, you know, at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, where we finally get champion versus champion, and then by that time they'll have other rules? Be like, well, now we're going to, of course, I don't see it happening, but now we can have both championships united and make it all unified, just one title. But they will never do that because of Fox wanting their own belt represented, and USA Network wanting their own belt represented. So it's just it's business stuff, and it'll never be the way we fans want it to be. I don't know how y'all feel about wanting one champion. We've heard Bully Ray talk about it constantly on Busted Open, how he wants one world championship, one women's championship, one tag championship, you know, instead of all these other
float between the programs.
Yes.
Right.
But it'll never happen because of business.
So here's the thing. So and we had a long conversation last night about Star Trek, of all things, right? Star Trek to me is so engrossing and so immersive because they build a world and they stick to their rules. Like, it's far-fetched, it's sci-fi, it's whatever, but what they tell you in season 1 is the same in season 3 and season 5. Like, you can go back 30, 40, even 60 years now with Star Trek, and the rules and the characters that set forward have stayed with it for the whole time. So that's Zelda. Sorry about that. So in that
She's
same way,
her opinion on it.
Yeah, no, she sees the dog next door. So they have to, in my mind, like I get pulled out of the action every time that there are rules set down that a week later get broken. I don't care. Like, we know what wrestling is, but at least let us live within that world, right? So, and I feel like WWE does this more often than a lot of other people. It's been better lately. But with the rumors of maybe Vince doing some of the creative for the main storylines, it feels like, Tony, to your point, that there's a push pull in a direction of the creative.
Right.
I don't know if that's true or not, but as a fan, I feel like it would have made sense to just say, okay, Roman, for whatever reason, if he has contractual things where for his health concerns he can't work a full-time schedule, or whatever the reasoning is, if he's not going to be on TV frequently or defending a title regularly on pay-per-views, then it makes sense to put another title out there for somebody to fight. So two things to that. They should have kept it on Raw. It should have been a Raw title fought for at on a tournament by Raw talents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the other thing is, no matter who holds this title right now, it is going to feel secondary until it's such point where there's a lot of time and equity and energy put into building that title up. But even so, okay, so this is where the logic gets screwy, right? If you are a Raw talent and you get drafted to SmackDown, yay, I'm on the flagship show, 2.5, 3 million people watching me every week. It's awesome. But I can't beat Roman. Nobody's beating Roman. So the only way for me to hold this title is to go back on Raw and admit to everybody that I can't beat Roman, because nobody can beat Roman, apparently. I mean, sometime he will be.
Yeah.
To me, WWE told us as fans, we don't know what to do with this next. We're going to put things over here.
So
and this is what I want to ask you guys.
This.
Yeah, and here's what I want to ask you, because to me, it seems almost obvious that they're going to involve maybe Solo or Jay in that title hunt, which makes it part of the Bloodline storyline, right?
Right.
If not them, who would be the best person to build that new title? Tony?
If not Solo, if not Jay, it's a hard question, because Cody should have beat Roman and he should have beat Roman at WrestleMania. Period. But he didn't. The story, therefore, is getting convoluted. I think the Bloodline story, and I've said this before, I think the Bloodline story is losing some steam. I just don't know who you'd want to put. Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins is the only other credible that I think could be at that level to carry that championship besides Cody.
Edge.
Yeah, Edge is obviously a Hall of Famer and a legend, but I don't think that he is in a position right now to work every week and do what needs to be done on the road, house shows. Like Triple H even alluded this to being like a workhorse. We're going to have this title is going to be represented by somebody all day, every day. Edge doesn't seem like that kind of guy. Does he have that level of,
what about someone who just
power?
came back in Shinsuke Nakamura?
I like Shinsuke. I see David in the chat saying LA Knight. I don't think LA Knight's gotten to that level
Not quite
yet.
to that level.
He's over. He's gotten himself over. Good for him, but I don't think he's there. Dolph Ziggler. He's just picking all these people to get other people over. which might be the goal, right? Anyway, so it's going to be really interesting to see the outcome of the tournament. I think the tournament is this week. It's Monday and Friday on Raw and SmackDown. And then we'll see what's going on.
And
on a plus side,
it culminates in Night of Champions, I believe.
Yes, correct. So the winners of like those two nights go on
shows,
to right. And I think it goes to a triple threat at Night of Champions and then a singles match. There's two matches on the pay-per-view, right? There's two matches. I know that. Yeah. So
okay.
I will say that the new title is really nice. It's
Yeah.
very classic looking. It's sort of reminiscent
Looks a
a
lot
little
like
bit
the big golds.
which you
Mhm.
have. Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that there, and I like it a lot. So it's not so gaudy. It's not so like marketing centric. Even though the logo's still on there, it's a little bit more muted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into some of the matches. We're not going to go through everything in detail, but there were a couple that I wanted to get your opinion on. Last night on SmackDown, by the way, shout out to San Juan, Puerto Rico, because that crowd was
They were
uneffing.
on fire.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were loud as hell, man.
Backlash should be interesting tomorrow with the crowd.
Tonight.
Tonight. Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
You're
It's
a
immediately
day
after the
behind,
show.
Tony.
Yeah. I'm a date. Hey, man. Yeah.
Day late.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're not $1 short.
Right. I'm a lot of dollars short, actually. But
Aren't
yeah,
we all?
the crowd should be hot tonight for Backlash. That's going to be an interesting, because Puerto Rico doesn't get very many shows, if at all, and other than independents and stuff like that. But yeah, this should be an interesting show tonight, and I am definitely looking forward to the street fight between Bad Bunny and Damian Priest.
Yeah, let's jump into that right now. So this matchup is interesting to me on a lot of levels because I've said it on this show. I don't know Bad Bunny's music very well. I know a couple of songs, and I don't speak Spanish, so I like, but I like them. They are good songs. I mean, he has like many billions of views and was like I think he was the most listened to artist on Spotify last year, which is a pretty significant statement. But the guy loves pro wrestling. Like he moved to Florida for 3 months before WrestleMania to train for that match. He did so much stuff in the last 2 weeks. He was swinging the kendo stick like a champ. He was taking bumps. He was just just doing everything right to build to this match. And I'm super excited for that. But that moment when he showed up last night with that old school WWF, the old school logo, it was perfect. And the crowd reacted accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad Bunny has impressed me like to no end. Like, when they usually bring a celebrity in, it's like, all right, they're gonna,
Why are they here? They're not doing
yeah,
anything. They can't take a
they're gonna
bump.
have
They're
this
not.
spot, and that's gonna be it, right? But the three people that they have brought in from the outside that have impressed me to no end: Pat McAfee, love him or hate him, Logan Paul, Bad Bunny. Those three right there are amazing from the outside, and look what they're doing for the business in WWE. It's
And
outstanding.
Snoop Dogg has redeemed himself from that one where he looked like a beanpole.
Yeah.
He did redeem himself because he saved that segment off
Yep.
on the fly. That was
On the fly.
I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care if he got direction from the back. Don't give a shit. Like there was a moment where there was an injury with Shane McMahon, and he just stepped in and did what needed to be done to get us, to get to the next thing. And I thought it was really cool. I mean, he's a guy who's been around show business for 30, 40 years, however long. But yeah, I did think that's a good call out. I'm very interested to see this match as a street fight, and I think it's perfect it's a perfect stipulation for this type of match because Damian Priest is awesome. I was a huge fan of him in Ring of Honor as Punishment Martinez. We went off the air. SmackDown went off the air with Bad Bunny wearing an LWO shirt. And how awesome is that for Zelina Vega and for the younger talent to be in there with Ray and Bad Bunny and like all this, like that's a moment and in that crowd too.
Yeah.
Not to be a naysayer, I immediately got thoughts of the Mike Tyson when he had the DX shirt and he rips it off and it's
Yeah.
Austin shirt.
Yeah, Bad Bunny is too like over. He's too much a babyface to turn him. If he was going to be there long term, sure, but this feels like he's here for a good time, not a long time. So it should be interesting. Let's take a look at these other matches. Speaking of Zelina is challenging for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
And I see Zelina walking away with that one.
Me too. Which would be
that would give
right?
an easy way to transfer the title to the SmackDown instead of being on Raw.
I didn't even think about that.
because
about that.
Zelina is going to be staying on SmackDown, and where Rhea's going to Raw. So
Right. I didn't even think about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is a good way to do that. The only thing to me is they've done such an incredible job, and Rhea's done such an incredible job building herself up. But she might not necessarily need it in the middle of the storyline that she's in right now. So I think she'll be fine if she doesn't have a title, but I kind of like her being champion. So it's a win either way, I think.
Yeah.
Sure. But they still got to pull the title off Bianca also.
Well, so let's talk about that match. So we have Bianca Belair and Io Sky. I still call it Io Shirai.
Both of them staying on SmackDown.
Right. And the interesting thing here is, you all know, like, I'm a big fan of Io Shirai, Io Sky, and you heard Thunder talking about her training with her in Japan and spending time with her. She is a badass, and I still don't think the WWE audience has seen nearly what she is capable of in the ring. If you've seen some of her matches in Japan, strong style doesn't quite describe it. She is really good and really physical. If we see Bianca, who Bianca is just as tough, right? If they decide they're going to go all out and like really show us something, you might see a different Io Sky tonight.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, Io Sky had a match with, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it Becky Lynch?
Mm-hmm.
And they had a classic match on Raw. I mean, it was amazing. And so yeah, I mean, Io Sky she's a boss in that ring. So that should be a good match tonight.
Yeah, David mentions this in the chat that there's, they keep talking about Bianca being the longest reigning champion and women's champion in the modern era, which it depends on who's making the decisions, right? So a lot of people have come close and lost their titles.
Depends on what histories you look at.
Right. But I'm a big fan of Bianca, so I would also like to see her retain this title. However, she's on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And she's holding the Raw title, so that's going to be interesting. But they're both on SmackDown, so. Okay, so real quick, there's a couple of matches here that I'm a little less invested in from a storytelling perspective. Bronson Reed versus Austin Theory and versus Bobby Lashley for the U.S. title. I've been pretty impressed with Theory. Pretty much everything he's done, his WrestleMania stuff, the story with Vince, his heel turn, like all of that stuff has been great. And I would like to see him just continue to be a champion. I don't see any need to take the title off of him.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They brought Bronson back for something. I mean, he was doing good on the indies and they brought him back. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see tonight just being Bronson and Bobby are just going to be duking it out with each other, clashing or whatever, and Austin could just come in, steal a victory, and be done and keep the title. So I mean, yeah, I see Austin pulling this out tonight.
Agreed. Yeah, there'll be some shenanigans, maybe not from an interference perspective because it's a triple threat, which means it's a no DQ, but there could be, as you said, Bobby and Bronson put each other in a position where they are like picking the bones type of thing, right? He just comes in at the last second. Theory comes in and gets the win. So we'll see. I'm from a match perspective, this match, Seth Rollins versus Almost. I was more impressed with. I'm not really understanding the story here either, but like I do think that Brock versus Omos was a big thing for Omos. Like it really helped to build him as a credible. Yeah, he's a big guy, but there's lots of big guys out there. Maybe not his size, but the way that Brock interacted with him raised his stock. So Seth Rollins getting the response that he's been getting all over the world, like all over the country, and now there he is, Mongrovian Mike in the chat. Live from 80s Wrestling Con. Yeah, sounds like they're having a good time. But I think that Omos is probably going to get this win, although Rollins is so over now, even as a purported heel, like he's not getting heel reactions. They're singing for 12 minutes. They sang to him in France. 12 minutes is insane.
Yeah. Seth is he's so freaking over. I mean, a lot of people are saying that they don't get his character, they aren't relating to his character, but man, I think he's amazing. I think he's doing great, and all you got to do is just listen, and you'll get
He's
your
definitely over with the fans.
yeah, just listen, and like front runner said, the crowd singing to him for 12 minutes. I mean, if Seth wanted to, he could just stand in the ring and just let the crowd take over, and it'd be all you need to know about Seth's character. I mean, he's over with fans, and that's why I think that Seth would be a good representative of carrying that championship, that new championship. So, yeah, and I'm sure we're gonna get into the next match. I'm sure the Cody and Brock, but yeah, I think Seth would be a good representation for that championship.
Yeah, I would agree. Before we jump into that main event, which I'm assuming is going to be the main event tonight, let's just touch on the 6-man tag. And this is, Sammy and KO with Matt Riddle versus the Bloodline, which is the Usos and Solo Sikoa. So, all right, I want to get your thoughts on this, because we've noticed that Riddle has become a lot more serious, a lot more focused, less jokey, like really. Do you like the comedic stuff from him, or do you like this version any better?
He still has the comedic signs of bro and stuff like that, but you're right, he is more serious. I think it's a interesting mix. And then at the same time, on the other side, you've got the question whether Solo is going to turn on the Usos, is going to stay with them.
Yeah, Tony.
I think that it's. I agree. Riddle's been less jokey. I like the serious side of Riddle. I think this is going to. When I mentioned earlier about the Bloodline storyline losing some steam, well, I think that this match will help reignite something into the story, because they've been teasing. Paul's been teasing. Like the other day on Raw,
Solo
when
taking them out, yeah.
yeah, and when they were in the back in the dressing room, well, when the Usos got there, then Paul and Solo went left. Like Paul is
Separate,
planting some
yeah.
seeds, and he's making it known that there's something going to happen. We just don't know what it is. We don't know how this story is going to pan out. So, well, I think that tonight we'll find out something more.
But Heyman's always scheming, and sometimes they backfires on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that I think, and we've thought this before. It happened before where Paul was not, on the side of the bloodline, and he was with Brock, and then it wound up being Paul. The whole thing that happened about a year ago, I guess it was. But I really think that Paul is the one that's going to be the catalyst in the bloodline storyline. I think he's the one that's going to be the one that's going to split the whole thing up. He's the grenade that's going to go off.
So here's the interesting thing. It's an interesting concept, Tony, because Paul's typically like he's there to accentuate and put other talent over. He's there to help elevate the in-ring talent, right? Like that's what we've seen his character do forever, whether it's a character on TV or him behind the scenes. I don't see him being unveiled as the central character in the storyline, just based on it taking the spotlight off of. However, if it turns out that he was teaming with somebody and conniving behind the scenes, if it was always Paul and Solo, if it was always Paul and Jay, whatever, like if that's how it all pans out, then I'm 100% for it. And I did want to mention, David says in the chat, when the smoke clears, Solo Sikoa will be the new world heavyweight champion. I have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with Solo. But again, if Solo is the champion on Raw and Roman is the champion on SmackDown, all that's left is for the Usos to win the titles back, and then the entire product is once again about the bloodline. which I love the Bloodline storyline, but you've got to have other stuff going on. So I'm going to kind of push back on that one.
And if the title is going to be defended on Raw, it can't technically be put on Solo if he's supposed to be exclusive to SmackDown.
Unless he wins the tournament, which is now with both brands.
Yeah, everything's the fucking
it's wonky. So this brings us to our main event, what I'm assuming will be the main event tonight, which is Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Now, okay, on paper, this sounds like pretty much we know how this is going to go. Brock is Brock, so he runs through everyone. Cody has done an absolutely masterful job of making me think that there's a very good chance he could win this match.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started talking about it being a possibility, we were like, well, that means Cody's going to lose and he's going to continue to go through his trials and, his hard times and all that stuff. But after the promos that Cody's had, I'm not so sure. Tony, what are you thinking?
Well, this is the other match that's going to inject some much needed clarity in this whole Bloodline storyline. I think that Cody and Brock is that obstacle that Cody needs to get past in order to continue the story with Roman.
Brock's the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
right.
This is a speed bump, right? This is a huge speed bump, like where you got to slow way down to like creep over it because it's so dang big. But it's going to be an interesting match. Definitely a must-watch match. I think the story leading into it has been awesome. I whatever Brock, aside from the almost, even though they did try, usually everything Brock is must watch. So I really think this Cody and Brock, I'm just interested to see what's going to happen at the end. We're going to get some clarity to keep this Bloodline storyline rolling along. I'm just eager to see it.
Yeah, and Trenda says in the chat, hard times was for Dusty. Cody shouldn't have to do all that. And I understand, but that's the story that Cody's
hard
telling.
Times breed better man.
Right, as they say in the song, right? But I think that Cody, there's the argument, and I had this argument with somebody recently that Cody's already been there, done. He's already gone through his hard times. He lost at WrestleMania. Now it's time for him to be on the road to a title. However, this new title doesn't seem to me, I don't think he's the right person to win it in its inaugural reign. So I'm very happy to see Cody continue to slow. I would actually be happy to see him win the IC title or the US title and say, well, I've got to work my way towards that. I know he's hyper focused and he's a main event guy. He's a main storyline guy, and that doesn't make sense, but it doesn't need to happen rather. But I do think that Cody's going to eventually take Roman's title, not this new one.
Right.
And he's never held the US title, which Theory has and is on Raw. So
it's a maybe.
Who's to say?
It's a maybe at best.
Yes, these are all of our conversations, by the way.
You see how we're connected? Yeah, we connected.
Anywho, but it is interesting to think about picking a winner here, because I can see Brock winning and Cody facing more adversity, but I can also see Cody winning and building momentum. So there's to me, it's good either way. I would rather see Cody win and continue to build some momentum towards, getting back to facing for a title down the road. But I think either way it goes tonight, it will be a good match. Cody's excellent. Brock is excellent. I don't care what anybody says. Watch Brock Lesnar's matches over the last 2 years, maybe even post-pandemic, especially the stuff that he did in the Rumble before the pandemic in 2019 or 2019, 2020. He's masterful at getting people over when he wants to put them over.
Right. I like Trenda's comment
in the chat.
Yeah. He has gone through his hard times from leaving WWE and being mid-card to be New Japan to AEW to back to WWE. That's hard times. That's an interesting
that's hard times
point there,
too.
Trenda. Yeah.
It is. So and it's typical WWE would be where they don't necessarily shine a light on what people have done outside the company. That's not been true with Cody. In fact, almost every one of his promos has had some reference. He talked about Double A, Arn Anderson this week. He's had promos where he's talked about going his friend Matt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that Matt Jackson, Matt Cardona? Could be either, right?
Could be.
But it's not a current WWE person.
Right.
He's talked about his time, vaguely talked about his time in AEW and on Ring of Honor and all that stuff. So I think Cody's an exception to this whole rule where they can't reference it. But to Trenda's point, the fans are also smart enough to know, you know, he's been through some stuff to get to where he is today.
Yep. And that's why the fans are so invested in him now, and why he can be seen as the face of WWE.
Trent brought up another Matt Hardy.
That's true. Another person that doesn't work at WWE.
Sorry, Tony.
Very good. And that's a good call out. Sorry, Tony.
It's all good.
So let's go around the room real quick. Tony, who wins this match?
Cody.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think Cody's going to walk away. Going to topple his beast.
I think it's unanimous. I think I'm going to go with Cody as well. I think Brock is on the I'm putting people over tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think he's here to beat Cody up and leave. That's not been what he's been doing. So
it's not going to be a cakewalk. It is going to be a fight. It is going to be you thought that beatdown was bad when he got beat down by Brock? That ain't nothing compared to what's going to happen tonight. But Cody has to beat Brock in order to continue his story.
Cody's going to get his receipt tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be fun. I'm super excited for it. So that's in just 15 minutes. I'm pretty sure there must be a pre-show on, although I'm not currently watching. I'll probably tune over to there in a few. Don't forget to check out everything on Mission Pro Wrestling's website and our YouTube channel and all the stuff that we have going on. I will be on a mission. I'm not on a mission. On a Mission is Tuesday night with Veda Scott and Emily May. They always have special guests. And Thursday night, Mission Pro Wrestling Unmatched with myself and Trenda Magellan. So that's going to be fun. This week will be must watch. Lots going on. Guys, where can people follow you on the social? Tony?
You can find me right there at Tony Justice, AJFA. And if you're a Metallica fan, like I know we all are, you know what that means. Ooh, and I also want to say, like, subscribe, like this show, tell your friends, spread the word, follow Nation's Corner on YouTube. Subscribe. Subscribe.
We're on the road to 500.
We are.
We are
getting close.
For 5.
500.
For 5.
Cool. All right.
You can find me at Dead Ahead RA on all socials.
Nice. And I am PW Front Row across all the socials. Make sure you check out everything Nation's Corner, at Nation's Corner on Twitter, and at The Nation's Corner on all other social platforms. Keep an eye on our YouTube channel and on our socials because we're doing more and more interviews. Nation's Corner on location. McGrovey and Mike and Neil and John and just everybody's out there meeting people and doing things and recording interviews. And I think we've got
True Colors June 10th.
Yep. And True Colors on June 10th. And guys, it was a lot of fun. Go enjoy the pay-per-view. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see y'all next week.